All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Thursday evening. We have an exciting topic for discussion today on our Pivots workshop on how to advance your career in project management. We have two very experienced speakers with us in Sarojkant Singh and Praveen Verma. And both have spent a considerable amount of time in their careers doing project management, both technical and operational side of things. So very, very excited to discuss more about their experience and how others who are targeting a role in this field or trying to grow their career in the field can learn from their experiences. So without further ado, I will just bring them in. Give me 1 second. All right, great. So we have both Sarojkant and Praveen. Welcome to today's conversation here with me as the founder of Pivot. How are you both doing?
Great, I'm doing great.
I'm doing
Great.
great and very nice to join this conversation with your with Pivot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for making time for this. So, actually, I wanted to have this particular topic as one of our agendas items. We have done almost 60, 70 of these workshops before, and we have actually not done project management related workshops so far. In the recent, I would say, last 6, 7 months, we have seen a tremendous amount of interest at Pivot for people looking to switch jobs or trying something different, more ambitious within project management. And it just shows that since the advent of AI, especially, there has been a monumental shift in how people within project management and IT careers and related fields are thinking about picking up new skills, networking more often than they used to previously, and again changing jobs, applying to new roles, those kind of things. So I thought this was a very timely topic and very glad to have you both. I'll just quickly share a bit of my background with people, and then would ask you both to share a little bit about yourself as well. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Arjun, and I'm the founder at Pivot. So, at Pivot, what we do is help people make smooth career transitions. What that means is anytime somebody's thinking about changing not just their company, but let's say some key element of their career, whether it's the domain, it's their industry, it's the level in the organization. These are all the areas that we specialize in helping people to ultimately land their target role, right? So we'll be talking more about Pivot today, and more than that, I'm very happy to have both the speakers with me. So I'll ask Sarojkant first to go ahead and introduce yourself, Sarojkant.
Thanks, Arjun. I think what Pivot is doing is really fantastic. In fact,
Yeah.
I was working in between with a startup which was, helping people make transitions, and that's a
Mhm.
very relevant thing that is required in today's industry. Mainly
Yeah.
because there's a gap between academia and projects. I've faced that in my career. So I
Mhm.
started my, education in Kolkata in IIES Shipur. Then I did my master's in University of Sheffield, UK. Then
Mhm.
I, came back to India to execute projects in a way. I initially started as a research engineer, then a
Mhm.
design engineer, and then I became a project engineer. So my first company was in Hungary. That was way back in 2004. And then I came to Siemens. After that, I came to Larsen Toubro. That was my largest stint. Then I did
Mhm.
projects in a company called McNally Bharat, which also
Mhm.
went into financial trouble, and that is something many of the EPC companies have gone through in India. So I did projects there, and my last company where I am still associated with is Project Power Plant Engineers Limited, which is a in-house EPCM of Jindal Steel and Power. So that's my background. Now I am also doing a PhD at ICFI University, and my topic is project strategy, and that is something people really know, and it deals with systems thinking and a subject or a discipline called cybernetics. Okay, so as you told about AI, So one side is AI, the other side is natural science, Newton's law and Einstein's relativity theory, things like that. And in between these two is a discipline called complex dynamic systems. And it was started by Stafford Beer. And in fact, Praveen works for an organization and he has a lot of experience in big consulting firms and he can tell you more about it. But that's my introduction in short.
Perfect. So it sounds like you have had diverse experience even within project management, worked in different industries. And I'm glad that, you covered that broad spectrum because I think your perspectives would be more holistic and diverse in nature since you cut across different industries. Praveen, so welcome again to the conversation today. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Yeah, similar to Sarojkant, maybe if you can, tell us a little bit about your background and your career journey so far.
Yes, Arjun. I am an electrical engineer by profession with postgraduate diploma in management and PMP certification from PMI USA. So, you were talking about career transitions, different industries, etc. I am a very good example of that. I started my career with steel sector in Mecon. Then I seamlessly switched over to oil and gas. Then thereafter, I seamlessly switched over to consulting, the role which I am doing currently. So my career could be broadly divided into three phases. One is the learning phase, the second is the consolidation phase, and the third is the contribution phase. So during the learning phase, I started my career with Mecon, and I served Mecon for some few years. Thereafter, I shifted to Gulf. I handled two projects, one brownfield and one greenfield project, right from concept to commissioning. And in between,
Hmm.
also had operation and maintenance experience. So that gave me a very broad overview about the whole scenario, um, and I was ready for leadership role in the next phase.
Oh, Praveen, we can't hear you. I think there's some audio issues, perhaps. Yeah, can you hear me? Mm. No, can't hear you. Sarojkant, can you hear Praveen?
No, I lost him.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
Praveen, maybe just give it another go. Can you say something?
yeah, yeah. Is it better
Yeah,
now?
now it's clear. It's clear now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Please
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning.
No, no, we heard almost till the end. Just the last sentence we missed.
Okay, okay, great. So, so as I told you that my career can be broadly divided into three parts. One is the learning part, learning phase, then the consolidation phase, and the contribution phase. So in the contribution phase, I took leadership roles. I developed one project right from scratch till and saw it through commissioning. For other two projects, I was a project manager for a very prestigious project of ONGC, and also was a project controls head for a seamless tube plant project in Saudi Arabia. That was a $1 billion project. So, with all the learnings, all the consolidations from these two phases, I went to the contribution phase for contributing to the society, for nurturing people, mentorship of my juniors, and I shifted into consulting. During this phase, I worked with top management consulting firms such as McKinsey, Kearney, and also had was a project director for a very prestigious project of IOCL. Uh, and currently, I am working as associate partner and head of transformation business of Rembarrier Advisors. And we want to bring syndication to India. I'm very passionate about syndication, as
Mhm.
Praveen also pointed out, and
Yeah.
because I see that as a game changer for in
Mhm.
very quick problem solving. of organizations. Because
Understood.
with my experience in McKinsey and Gurney and other management consulting firms, which directly or indirectly, I can say that any transformation takes months, if not years, to
Right.
happen. And because it does not have the ownership of the ground root people. But in syndication, what we do, that we take uh, the the employees co-create the solution, and so there is a lot of they take ownership, and the implementation is also very fast. So
Understood. Understood.
this is in brief about my intro, and sorry for the audio issues. Yeah,
No worries. No worries. I think we can hear you absolutely fine now.
yeah, yeah.
So I think the says has been said. I think people understand both of your backgrounds, and definitely very impressive career journey so far, and also some unique experiences compared to each other. So very excited to dive right into it. So the way we will structure this is, for the first couple of let's say first half of this conversation, we will discuss some of the key topics, the kind of questions that we generally hear from our audience, right? And then towards the second half, we'll start taking live audience Q&A. So people who are watching us right now, they will be able to share their questions, and we'll take those up. So if you're in the audience right now, please stay with us. We will definitely get through to your questions in just about 20 minutes or so. And do drop in your question in chat. So yeah, with that, let's get started. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, and this will hopefully help people who are trying to understand whether they should build their career in project management, and if they're already there, then how should they be thinking about the next few years in this field for themselves, is what are some of the key career trends that you both are noticing in this field, right? So project management, like you both discussed, it's been evolving pretty rapidly. There are a lot of new up and coming dynamic factors that are impacting not just the way work happens, but the way people are evolving in their careers as well, right? So Sarojkant, we'll start off with you. In terms of career trends, what are some of the most important career trends that are shaping field of project management today?
So Arjun, traditionally we used to do projects in a different way, and now the entire way of executing projects has gone in a different path. And main reason is the digital transformation. So that is definitely one of the game changers. So when I started my career, Excel was something that was like a wizard's stake, magic stake, and those who know it were like stars in projects. Okay, but now the Grant charts and Microsoft Project Schedule, and let's say Primavera, these are the tools that schedulers use, are getting augmented with artificial intelligence. Okay, and this is where the game change is happening. Let's take a simple example. All right, you are planning a schedule for, let's say, 3 years. It's a big steel plant project, and you make a base schedule. Right now, incidentally, due to many factors, that schedule changes constantly. So how many times are you going to revise the schedule? And you keep a planner, and a battery of planners, and then people who punch in data, and they are all doing some kind of data entry. Now that doesn't make sense. So there's a huge gap between the planning and the execution. All right, and that is because the timely decisions need to be taken on schedules which are not there. So now a lot of automation is happening here, and one of the tools which I can refer is Alice. It's developed by a Stanford grad, and what it does is, in real time, actually reevaluates your resources and gives you decision making scenarios within seconds. So that is one of the big game changes that is happening, but the cost is prohibitive in India. The license is around 1 CR, and that makes feasible only for projects above 500 CR. So that's a challenge. But novel solutions from IITs and maybe Indian startups will bring in such solutions very soon. I'm sure of that. So
Got
this
it.
is one of the key changes, I think.
Understood. Understood. So it's becoming more dynamic to kind of evaluate the needs of the project and do things in a more, I guess, automated and in a timely manner as opposed to very manual, kind
That's
of
right.
work
So
heavy information.
just to add in here, you have projects like services projects of IT, and then you have core
Mhm.
sectors where I have worked most of my career, and also I think Praveen has done that. So what
Yeah.
happens, you deal with plant and machinery there. So let's say you are erecting a transfer tower, which is like,
Mhm.
let's say 20 feet or 20-meter long, and you have planned for three cranes. Now, these cranes have to be brought over in trucks and through a long distance. That itself needs planning. Now, let's say
Right.
on the day you have two cranes. What do? Okay,
Hmm.
you start work with that, but your plan is made of three cranes. So you got to
Hmm.
change it, right? Now, to
Right.
change the plan of a big complex project is a huge task. Now, they never do that. So they do it in a fuzzy way, this meeting. And so plan remains with three cranes and decision is being taken on ground, right? With experience of people. But let's say you have an AI tool that changes two to three cranes to two cranes and give you three scenarios. These are the things you can do to erect this 20-meter gallery or a structure like that. Now, that is a game
Mhm.
changer.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. I think definitely a lot of potential there for the field to gain a lot of productivity and better quality of work through those kind of tools. Makes sense. So Praveen, I think we'll bring you into the conversation as well. You can also perhaps similar to Sarojkant from your perspective share what are some of the key trends you are noticing in project management. But if you can add maybe based on your experience working at the companies that you were mentioning, how is AI also impacting this directly? Perhaps in some similar ways that Sarojkant was pointing out, perhaps in some different ways that you are seeing in your experience.
Yeah, so there are two parts to your question. So I'll address the first part, then I'll move on to the
Sure.
next part. So, see about the trends, project management trends, career. Two things I'd like to add more in addition to what Saroj had told. One is that now we are shifting. See, like traditional manufacturing and construction projects were done through waterfall methodology, and typically IT projects were done with agile methodology. But now
Mhm.
there is a significant change in the sense that for construction and manufacturing projects also we adopted hybrid methodology. That is a combination of agile during some phase of the project. During mainly, I use during the initial phase of the project, and waterfall methodology during the latter phase of the project. So this is a very very clear shift, which is actually we are taking the best of both the methodologies to deliver value to our customers. So that is the first point.
Mhm.
The second is that there is a marked shift or focus towards sustainability. So projects are including sustainability has become a major part of any project management. Basically, that is part of the and what I mean by that, basically using your circular economy, minimizing of wastages, considering environmental issues, lot of CO2 reduction projects, etc. So those type of projects and mentality has gone in to take care of our environment and to leave the environment in better hands, so, in the coming years. So these are the, and another thing also with after COVID-19, there has been a marked shift towards remote project management or hybrid
Mhm.
project management.
Mhm.
So in my experience, I was a project manager of project director of one project where during this peak COVID period, and we could manage the project without any noticeable uh, delays due to working from remote. The entire team, except the construction team, was working from remote, and we were able to manage it quite well. So, thanks to the technology like Zoom, Teams, yes, need to communicate more, you need to collaborate more. But yes, that way we could quickly adapt and to the change scenarios.
Understood. Understood.
Now coming to the second part of your question, see AI. I consider AI as my friend, as my assistant. Okay, and so that I can use it to be more efficient and add value to the customers. Basically, I'll tell you. Suppose if I use AI based scheduling, AI based risk management, predictive analytics tools using AI. So the data crunching is done by AI, and decision making, taking a holistic view, is left to me. So I am able to discharge my duties and the expectations of the stakeholders in a much better way, yeah, using AI. So, so I see definitely AI is a game changer, and whoever does not adapt to using AI for their day-to-day work is going to be left out. It is not that AI is going to replace the jobs. Your jobs will be replaced. You will be redundant if you don't use AI. That is my firm belief.
Got it. All right. No, that was very helpful. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. I think some of the trends you shared were also insightful, and kind of like you said, there's a marked shift in terms of the methodologies that people are using for project management. There is sustainability factor. Primarily, I mean, sustainability, you would say, Praveen, in like oil and gas, construction, these kind of fields that has made
Yes.
a tremendous impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the remote nature, hybrid nature of work. Sarojkant, just quickly, your take on that actually. Is project management still happening like remotely, or are companies generally asking folks to come back to the office? Because, I mean, if you're especially working in one of these sectors that you both are currently in, I mean, I can only imagine how hard it must be to collaborate with people on the field versus, working remotely. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's true. You see, in the core sector, accepting remote work is a little bit of a gulp. Okay, so people expect you to come to office or at site, and obviously, you cannot do work without going to site because that's where the construction is happening, right? So, but yes, there is a big shift in how meetings are being conducted. So, remote meetings are quite frequent. So, travel is less. Earlier, managers were not really comfortable doing a Zoom because they wanted to have the feel of the, site. But as Praveen said, since COVID has come, 3D BIM, 5D BIM, people have started accepting 3D in a much bigger way. And that is integrated with all these new tech AI tools that are coming. And that is where, the human and AI, this interaction will be a big uh, trend, or you can say uh, essence of projects. How much of
Mhm.
human factor and how much of tech you are using, or system factor, as we may say. So this will
And
be
do
a
you
very
see a
important.
shift happening like more from human to tech, or is it just more like like a better integration of human and tech? Like what are you seeing in terms of the shift?
The human factor will increase. The reason is because
Mhm.
skilled manpower is getting less. And
Hmm.
what AI and automation will do is do the donkey work, okay, as I may say. So, in a core sector, or you may find it in all sectors, there's something called follow up, okay. Now, follow up is seen as a science by itself by a lot of, bureaucratic managers, and they will have their horses, or say you can say dogs, who run around vendors and suppliers to follow up, okay. So these will be done by bots. So if you are
Hmm.
building your career on being a master follow-up manager, then you need to think, right? As Praveen said, you need to be the decision maker. Let's say you are in a negotiation, you need to know how to negotiate and not do much of these donkey work that we usually do in projects.
Right. Okay. Okay, no, fair enough. I think again, thanks for those insights. Very, very helpful. But now we'll get into the meatier part of the conversation, right? So far we were discussing things more at a high level and the trends, abstract related things. But now let's talk about where the rubber meets the road, which is how does it actually impact professionals in this field, right? So, one of the key things that people talk about today in project management is all these upcoming, new skills that they have to acquire or they have to strengthen. So, Saroj, we'll start with you. What are the key skills that project managers should be focusing on today to remain competitive in their field?
Right. So before I answer that, let me set a little bit of context. So as I said, I am doing research on project strategy, right? So any project manager or project team player who comes into a project has to understand there are two very important variables, which sets the direction of the project or strategy of the project. One is how much autonomy you have in the environment. Okay. So what is environment? You may be in a project based company like I have worked in Larsen and Toubro, McNeely Bharat. These are project based companies. Okay. So they are a portfolio of projects, you may say. Or you may be a project within a corporate, let's say Reliance or let's say Siemens, and they are making a winner product. So that making that product or launching that product is a project, right? So you first have to see what environment you are in. You are in a corporate which has a project within it, or you are in a project based organization. And then how much autonomy is being given to that project manager. He may have a lot of autonomy, or he may be a piece in the chain. And then how much power of stakeholders is there, or how many stakeholders are there. Okay. So autonomy of project manager or project itself, and the other is the number of power or influence of stakeholders. This will design how powerful you are or how your decisions will be formulated. And within this is definitely AI is coming, right? So now when you ask me what are the skills they should adopt, they should think on these lines, right? So one is definitely basics of project management. So one guy who's just passing out of college, he knows, let's say he's a mechanical or electrical engineer, and he doesn't know anything about the commercial part, right? So he can go into universities like NITI, or there is NICMAR, or there are other courses in IIMs, and ISB does a course. So these are some of the courses he can do online. He can do there's a course by LinkedIn. He can do that. There's a course by Google. Okay. So there are a couple of courses on Coursera. So these are all great courses, but unless you implement it, obviously it won't give much of a you know you can say you have to practice it in the industry. So once you do that course, you can get into any organization and then implement it with this in mind, that what environment are you working in. And there are certifications like PMP, which Praveen can highlight more on, which is really powerful, and people take that into consideration a lot in the industry.
Got it. Very comprehensive. Thanks for sharing that, Sarojkant. I think a lot of good, specific answers there with regard to skills that people should be focusing on. Praveen, as Saroj was just talking about, there are certain additional, certifications or specific, hard or technical skills that must be becoming more and more important, given all the trends we just discussed in the prior topic. So, yeah, according to you, again, the question is similar. What are some of the key skills plus perhaps certain certifications that can really help project managers today to stand out from the crowd when they are trying to grow in their careers or trying to land a good role?
Arjun, with so-called donkey's work out of the way, with the help of AI. So now the focus, onus has increased on the project managers. And for me, with my experience, I can tell you that soft skills like communication skills, leadership skills, negotiation skills, then your risk management, because you should be able to foresee the risks in the project and take corrective action in advance so that the risk is mitigated to the extent possible. So those have become as important as the technical skills. And so technical skills definitely has to be there, but in addition to that, this emotional intelligence, yeah, then your uh, your time management skills, those skills are also very very important to have a career in project management leadership roles. With respect to the certifications, yes, PMP is definitely one. That one is which is given by PMI, Project Management Professional. In addition to that, they have got Program Management Professional and Portfolio Management Professional. The other two certifications, and it is always advisable, even for those project managers who are working in this core sector and in construction and manufacturing, to get agile certifications. So PMI has got PMI ACP, that is Agile Certified Professional Certification also. So, and to start with, for the junior project managers who are just starting out, this we have got CAPM, certified, that is people with less experience in project management who are just starting out. They can get a overview of the project management using this certification. So these are the various certifications. Then of course risk management certifications will adds value to the professionals, basically, because the risk, managing risk is very very important for getting stakeholder satisfaction, and to meet the project uh, timelines and the budget constraints.
Got Got it. Okay, understood. I think there are a lot of different certifications that you mentioned, Praveen. I think generally one quick question, because we do get this a lot: are these certifications, you would say, almost a must-have today, in the sense when you are actually building your career and building not just a few years but a long-term career in project management? It's almost an expectation from companies today that you need to have these certifications, or is it more like good to have, where if you have them, perhaps it's an added advantage to your career?
I would take this analogy of passport and visa. See,
Okay.
pass for visa you need a passport, but yes, so basically passport, everybody has passport, but not everybody has visa for any for travel to any country. So it is like that, because see what happens that mm, it is not a, some, in some organizations it is a must have, in some organizations they do not, it is not a must have certification. Experience is given equal or more weightage in most of the organizations, but if you don't have this certification, basically like you're going to miss out. And it is a sort of a you know uh, the employers see that yes, you are serious about improving yourself, you are doing continuous improvement, continuous learning is you're doing. So so that way it adds value differently. And I'm a PMI PMP certified professional, and I can vouch that mm, uh, the methodology what is given in PMBOK is really, it could be applied to any project and I have been doing it consistently in all the projects, be it multi-billion-dollar projects or maybe some million-dollar, some engineering projects, and with very good success. Because once you have the framework in place, no, managing the things become much simpler. I hope it answers your question. To summarize, I'll tell you that okay, it is not a must-have, but it is good to have.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Got it. No, I think very well answered, and I really like that analogy. I think it breaks it down very simply. So thanks for sharing that. You want to cover a slightly different part to upskilling and how people should be thinking about advancing their career in project management. Saroj, from your perspective, how important is it to find a mentor who is not necessarily your manager in this field? Does it? I mean, see, mentorship is something that can obviously cut across different careers and different industries. But what we have generally seen is there are certain fields which are more technical in nature, and the more you are technically superior to your peers, you can still grow in your career because you can showcase your skill set very, very tangibly. But then there are certain careers where it's not just about your hard skills. It's also the way you deal with different stakeholders, the way you think about your own skill set and how to position it strongly. So a lot of factors come into career advancement, right? So in project management, based on your experience, like how important is mentoring and getting the advice of somebody who's a few years ahead of you on how to take your career forward?
Very relevant question, Arjun. And this is very relevant in today's landscape in project management, where skill set is very scarce. If you go to any, steel plant project or cement plant project, you will see that you're not getting good project managers, good project coordinators. So you either hire a fresh GT and then you train him up if he doesn't leave the company for a softer IT work, or you have people at the 50s and end 50s, and they need to pass their knowledge down to somebody younger. Okay, so here having a mentor is in this landscape is not just relevant but essential, you may say. Let me give you an example. So there can be a technical thing, okay, like let's say in a project you have long lead items, all right? So there's a 80-20 principle called the Pareto principle. That is how you prioritize, what to do and which one to do first, right? So 20% of your activities have 80% impact on your goals, right? So if you're not doing the 20, really you are doing that rest of the 80 and it will have just a 20% impact on the goal, right? So you have to do the first 20 first, and that is where the long lead items in the project comes. So you place purchase orders for various kind of items. Now if you don't place order at the right time for the long lead, and that falls on your critical path, that will go, that will make the project delayed, or there will be a cost overrun, all right, for that. So knowing this, which is the critical item, which is the long lead, can be easily transferred from the mentor to a young engineer, right? So it is very important. This is a technical part, but projects, nowadays are working in a very, very different environment, high uncertainty, very, very volatile, with wars going around all over the world. Supply chains are disrupted, and in this kind of scenario, your old methods won't work. So further to add on that, the way projects are being done has to be changed. Projects are time bound, right? And if you have a lot of red tape in the organization on the way you work in projects, it will not meet your goals in the future to come. And so you have to be very, very seamlessly non-bureaucratic, okay,
Hmm.
non-hierarchical. So earlier people used to say, there's a army general and oh my God, he works for so many hours, and then he, makes people work so hard and all are aligned. That's not the world we live in. So you are seeing remote working, as Praveen said, and there are organizations which is termed as distributed autonomous organization, DAOs, which is already starting to form in a very fuzzy manner. And this is how projects will operate in the future. So in this, if you don't have mentors, I think it will be a drawback in the future. Yeah, it's very essential.
Got it. I think so. It is critical, I think, to have a mentor in this field today. It can provide a lot of dividends, if maybe not right away, then perhaps over a period of time, as you start to navigate complexities, especially when you're rising in your career. So, thanks for sharing that, Saroj. I think we are getting a lot of questions in the chat now. We have quite a few people who have shared very diverse questions. So, I would like to now start taking them up. And perhaps, Praveen, if it's okay with you, we'll start off with the first question from Jay Ganeshan, right? And I'm showing it here on the screen. So, Jay's question is about the fact that agile way of project delivery is all about mindset, followed by processes, and the cadence of work, etc. So he's asking, can you talk about how to make the team adapt more quickly to this agile process? Because it may be more challenging to actually make them follow the processes than just educating them about the process, right? So one part is educating them, the other is they actually adapt to it and start following it in a practical manner. So, any experience or thoughts that you would like to share regarding Jay Ganeshan's question?
Yes, as I told you that this typically I have been using agile practices during the pre-project phase or the initial phase of the project. So what I mean by pre-project, basically, Saroj will also understand that for a owner-based organization, for like suppose that as an owner, if I'm going to execute a project from the perspective of an owner, then uh, suppose that we have got X amount of capital with us, and and we want to set up a steel plant, let us say. So what is the what will be the optimum capacity of the plant? What will be the your production flow? What is the location? What should be the location of the plant, etc. That is all that is very fluid initially. So in that stage, I have used agile practices very effectively to come to a conclusion very quickly about the project configuration. Once the project configuration is fixed, then I move on to typical waterfall process used in construction and manufacturing. And the team, as far as the team is concerned, yes, the team is also aligned through communication to learn teachings to adapt in that way. So the projects which I have done, I did not see any major challenge as such, because the key is you need to communicate effectively. You need to give your expectations very clear to the team. So, and team has to look upon you as a leader. So automatically they follow, everything falls in place.
Got it. Um, that was helpful. Saro, just a slightly different nuance to the same question. Let's say, working on a project where you're facing challenges from the team in terms of meeting the timelines and the budget that has been set, right? And you're following, obviously, agile process to optimize all of these things and make sure that the project gets delivered on time, meets client expectations, all of those things. How do you hold your team accountable in such scenarios if they, let's say, are not meeting client expectations? And to be very honest, it's not a direct question, because sometimes your answer might be, actually we did wrong projections initially with regard to budgets and timelines, or there were changes along the way that we had to adapt to. So perhaps the team is not always at fault, and you don't always need to hold them accountable. So how do you navigate these type of situations?
Great question, Arjun. So you'll face this in many of your projects as you progress in your project management path. All right. So there is a emotional part and there's a transactional part, right? So I, as an employee of my company, may say that you're paying me salary, I give you time, and that's it. Or I may say that no, I'm here to create something big, right? So that's the emotional part, which many companies bring in, many don't, right? Now, project by their very nature, are transient. So they have a start, they have a finish. So people like us who have worked in projects are, attuned to environments which will fall one day, or you can say death, right? But let's say a business, people used to, Praveen worked in Mekon, earlier people used to enter and then retire from the same organization. That world is gone. But they did possess some kind of emotional bonding to that company. I worked for Larsen Tubro, McNeely Bharat, and these companies do have that content in them. But let's say in the project, how do you bring that factor? That's the challenge, right? So first of all, you have to understand that you have to take your team from transactional to emotional, you know, and bond with them. So there's a very classic example, whatever man does, on this earth, we ape nature. Look at nature, how it's working. So the project is within a nature and it has to be aligned with it. All right. But we have been taught since our birth to control everything. That's breaking now, right? So the queen said to East India Company, you go rob the countries, make colonies, and bring me wealth, right? And our company said, all the branches bring me wealth, right? And all our legal system, everything was made as per the British line of thought, and that's breaking, not just in India, worldwide. So
Mm-hmm.
you have these DAOs coming in, and projects in a way are themselves disruptive. Why the hell did a project come? Because things in the bureaucracy is not working, so they bring in a project, okay, to disrupt it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this itself gets infected with red tape. Now, that's something you don't want. And most of these things that you are saying is due to lack of communication or bonding in the team, and that can easily be brought if you think how a plant grows, right? You sow a seed in the soil, the seed takes saplings from the soil, it understands how much sunlight will come, and who is teaching it. So
Mm-hmm.
this is called self-regulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Got it.
you're and you're parts of that, you have to self-regulate. How do you do that? There's a method to it, and there is science to it, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what complex dynamic systems deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
let's say you don't, but in a fuzzy manner, you can think that yes, if there is a disharmony, how do I bring harmony, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's say you are playing a symphony, right? Somebody is playing a tabla, somebody is playing a harmonium, somebody is playing a piano. Sing them, that's a symphony, and that's all that you need to do in this noise or disharmonious team that you are working in. And if you think like that, you can find the solution.
A lot of good analogies there, Saroj. I think that's one of your key strengths that I'm realizing there, talking about the British Empire and talking about nature and, all of these and symphonies. I think it really makes these, the answers more vivid. And I think the core point that I took away from that is that you can't have a team functioning seamlessly and towards achieving one common goal if it's all happening just for the sake of project completion, kind of transactional wealth creation and, meeting deadlines and budgets. Those are all important factors, but there has to be something bigger that
Right.
aligns the team and creates harmony where you feel connected to each other and you feel like you're one unit. And
That's
now
right.
I think that's more of a leader's job, and you really pointed out that well. Um, but I think the core part of the question in terms of the budgets, timelines not being met, I think that's something perhaps that you can hold people accountable to. If somebody, if let's say one person has not delivered versus the rest of the team, I think that can be there as well. So we'll move on to the next question, and this one is slightly similar to what we have discussed previously. Praveen will start with you on this question. So Shashank's question is, how can AI replace project managers? Is, if you can share perhaps a brief example of a problem that you have faced and solution that was provided. I'm guessing more from an AI standpoint. I think this is already discussed that AI is not necessarily going to replace humans. It's just that you are going to become redundant if you don't acquire or strengthen your AI skills. I think Praveen, you only mentioned that earlier.
Yes,
So I think you would be a good person to answer Shashank's question. Please go ahead.
sure. See, uh, AI cannot replace project managers, period. So project managers will be there, but AI can make project managers more effective. That is what I had told earlier. So how they can make they can be more effective? I'll give you some examples. What AI is very good for data crunching. Okay, so predictive analytics part. Suppose that from the historical data, how the project is going to progress in future, and what are the risks based on the like other similar projects done previously, and what mitigation actions we can take possibly, and so those all sort of those data crunching jobs AI will do very effectively. And even let us say automation of reports. See, as project manager and project director, I have spent considerable amount of time we spent, and Saroj will vouch for that, in making in making presentations for the steering committee meetings or the project review meetings. So those part AI can do it much faster, in a much faster way, so that our job as project managers, as project directors, as project leaders will be strategic level, taking decisions based on the data given by AI. So that is how I see the interface between AI and project managers.
Understood.
I
Understood.
hope I answered your question.
Yes, I think so. That was effectively answered. We just, in the interest of time, I'll keep moving along because we have a couple of other questions as well. So slightly different question from Amrita that we have. Saroj, Amrita's question is very straightforward and something, as we were talking about career transitions earlier, pertinent to that topic. And something which we actually get quite frequently. How can someone switch from consulting to project management? And this is very specific. A lot of times we get people from different domains, right? Like you have QA managers looking to get into project management. Sometimes you have just engineers, developers looking to get into project management. So perhaps you can answer directly Amrita's question. Then, what framework should a person use when they think about transitioning from any career outside of project management to project management?
Right. So, whenever you are making a shift, you need to see what are the commons and what are the specifics, right? So, let's say what Amrita asked, she is wanting to shift from consulting to project management. So, what are the common skills that she has? That is one she has to identify. And what are the specifics? Let's say, in a consulting role, what will be the nature of your behavior? It will be very, very, collaborative, right? And that is something immensely important in today's project management world. But when Amrita comes to a project management world, she may find that there is a lot of hierarchy. Now, her job will be to break it, right, with her skill. So she has an added skill which is absent in the new environment. So she has to map that, number one. Number two, there may be specifics, right? Let's say Amrita is from a finance background, okay? And there will be technical aspects of the project, so she has to get a hang of these things, right? So let's say she gets into a steel plant project, so she has to know what is the process like in a steel plant on a L1 or a basic level, and what kind of functionalities are being played, like what is the role of a quality manager, what are the skills he should have. And then she can get into a project leader's role. So project manager is one, and then is project leader, right? So project leader will take the team along and execute the project. So she can definitely move up there through the skills that she has acquired. Now let's say, as you asked about a quality man who wants to get into a project management role. Okay, so definitely, the courses that we mentioned, that will help in both cases. And the PIMBOK, which is, you can say, the Bible, which PMI made, that is a good referral that they can refer to, and get the theory base and then practice it in the real world. So let's say the QA guy comes in, he needs to gather commercial aspects of the project. That is very critical. And that is something absent in most of the engineering grads, or you can say the fresh grads out of the regular streams also. They know about the technical aspects, but when they come to execute projects, they find an invoice, a bill, payment terms. These are new things, right? So these are certain things they need to hone up. And if you had that opportunity in your consulting or your QA career, that's great. So then you can build on that.
Got it. I hope that was helpful, Amrita. A lot of good takeaways from that particular question. I think definitely reach out to Saroj or Praveen or myself in case you are actually interested in getting more personalized insights on how to transition. I think both Praveen and Saroj have a lot of wealth of experience in perhaps answering these questions in a more targeted manner. And at Pivot, this is exactly what we do, helping people shift domains, shift industries. We have worked with 5,000 plus professionals so far. So you can also reach out and check out our website. Praveen, welcome back. I think there was a power cut at your place, but good to have you back. Um, so, there's another question that I'll quickly tackle since we are coming up towards the end of our session today. So, this is from, I believe, from um, Kishan Kumar Sia. So, the question is, that they're doing an MBA in pharma management and they're looking for project management jobs in pharma specifically as a fresher. Very different questions than compared to what we have discussed so far. So, what do you think Kisan can do to actually land a role as a project manager in pharma? What kind of job search tips would you share in terms of, let's say, resume preparation or interview preparation, networking with people? Is there anything they can do outside of just interviewing for the college placements that will help them land the role?
Yeah. So first of all, for freshers, there is a CAPM certification of PMI. And see, as a fresher with no experience in project management, the first is that learn about project management nuances. There are a lot of online courses also, with Coursera, EDX, and even LinkedIn Learning has got some beautiful courses. And with Coursera and EDX, you need not pay for until you want a certificate. You need not pay also, so it is good to learn, and you can strategically choose which certificates you need to further your career. Otherwise, you can always learn for free in these platforms. So that is the first thing. The second is uh, get some small volunteering opportunity in project management. So that one suggestion I have is joining PMI and join a PMI chapter near you, and opt for and you volunteer for roles in the chapter, and there are always plenty of opportunities to upskill yourself, to learn in the process, as well as networking is going to help in a very very effective manner in this. And PMI chapter is a gold mine for that. So with respect to the resume has to be tailored specifically for the roles. So as a fresher, whatever like experience you have, so those things you need to highlight in your resume, so that and back it up with your soft skills, so that the recruiter or the hiring manager is convinced about your potential. And if possible, get a mentor. Like most of the senior people on LinkedIn are willing to be a mentor for juniors, because they see it as their duty, for giving back to the society. Get a mentor, and who can give you more specific guidelines regarding your career growth and career transition.
Got it. Thank you, Praveen. I think the question again was answered quite comprehensively. We'll take just one last question, Saroj and Praveen. I hope that's okay with you. If we can spend maybe just 3, 4 more minutes to before we wrap up. Yeah.
Sure, sure, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I think the last question that we have here is from Tarun, and his question is about driving project management in a scenario where the vendors and customers are part of the same group, same company, and we see non-performance by the vendor, but no action is taken by customer because leadership is pretty much the same set of people. Very case specific, I think, but unique kind of a query. And I'm guessing, Tarun is perhaps facing this in his current role or has faced this previously. How do you hold people accountable if they're not working? I think that's the core of it. And yeah, Saroj, I think you would be a great person to answer this.
Yeah, so I faced this environment twice. So first, when I was in McNeely Bharat, we had our factories. So they were part of the same organization. All right. So they used to make most of the lead items for the projects, long lead items. Let's say there's a concentration plant in zinc processing, and they make the ball mill, which is the long lead item, right? Now, if that doesn't come in time or at good price, then you are suffering. Now, yes, we do face that issue sometimes, but it's a great advantage in a way. So the main catch here is, what is the purpose, right? Both organization are working for the same purpose, and there is inefficiency, and you have to drive that way, and that is a cultural change that you're looking at. Okay, so the second organization, I'm working there now. So it's a EPC company, you can say, within the JSP group. Okay. And why did JSP make this? Because they themselves were inefficient to execute projects in time, because they are steel making company, right? And when they give it to an outsider like Larsen and Toubro, or let's say Sapurji Palanji, or any other contractor, there is a tug of war to catch the part of the meat, you can say. Why? Because the contractors wants more profits, and the owner wants capex to be the least, right? So there is always a tug of war. Now imagine you have a contractor which is your own company. Now that should bring in efficiency, isn't it? Now, why isn't it happening? It's disharmony, and you have to set the purpose that we are here working for the same goal, and it's the best thing that can happen. The vendor and customer both belonging to same company. So it's a cultural change Tarun is talking about, and we saw this because McNeely Bharat had the factories under a subsidiary called McNeely Sayaji, right? And this was later split due to financial trouble and bought by another company. And that company was not in the field where McNeely Sayaji was, that is crushing and grinding industry. And they saw they have a very inefficient marketing team. What was the reason? Because the mother company was a easy buyer to them, and when they went out of this environment, they found that that is a weakness, because they don't have a very robust marketing team as the parent company themselves are buying. Now they are building that team. Okay, now McNeely Bharat could have done that, right? So that that survives outside also, but somehow that inefficiency was there. But I think that's the best thing that you can have in today's world to create value, both vendor and customer within the same organization. and all you got to do is harmony and bring the purpose.
Perfect. I think we have covered all the key questions and gone over about 5 minutes from our allotted time. So I just want to then take a second to thank both Saroj and Praveen for joining me today. Thank you so much. I think there was a lot of insights shared, very pointed answers. That's something I really like. Sometimes people digress or avoid the core question, but I think you both really answered them head on. And I'm sure people who joined us today and who will be seeing a recording of this will hopefully get to learn a lot and make a tangible impact in their careers as well. Also, to folks who have joined us, just make sure to actually follow us on Pivot. You'll be seeing more events like this, and reach out to Saroj and Praveen on their LinkedIn profile that has been shared in the chat in case you would like any one-on-one direction from them around your career. You can also reach out to us at Pivot. You can check out mypivot.work in case you're interested in pursuing a transition of any sort in your career. And with that, we have come to a close. Thanks again, once again, everybody, for joining today.
Thank you, Arjun. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Great.
you, Arjun. It was my pleasure to interact with you all.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Praveen, Saroj. You take care.